In today's video, I am going to be talking about how you can become a millionaire. Now, there is many paths, millions of different paths that you can take to become a millionaire. And usually a millionaire is not somebody who has $1 million in cash. Usually it's somebody who has either investments or their net worth is $1 million because maybe they have a house that's improved in value, or they may have a lot of investments, or they run their own company. Now, for example, I am getting close to that point. I'm not there yet. However, I'm going to be explaining to you how a couple of different paths could make you a millionaire, and you may only be making very close or just above minimum wage. So let's get down and let's check this out. Okay, so this is actually a really cool list. So this is a website and it has what the average and median income is by age in 2020, which is last year. And basically this goes by age along here, their average income across the entire age, and then of course when breaking it down into the top 25 percentile, 50%, 75, and whatever else. So basically what this means is, for example here, the 25 percentile, that is 75% of people at that age will make at least that much money. So for example, 75% of 16-year-olds will make over $180 a year. Meanwhile, for the 99 percentile, only 1% of 16-year-olds make $50,000. And don't we all wish we were that 16-year-old making that much money? It would be amazing. So your goal should be to be at least in the 50 percentile, which means that when you're 16, as an example, you should be making a little over $100 a month. And that would be about, maybe after taxes, maybe 12 hours a month, which is not that much. It's about 3 hours a week. So you should be able to make that much easily. Now, when you start getting into the 30-year-old age group, the 50 percentile make around $40,000 a year, which is about a management position in a job that usually employs minimum wage employees. So this is kind of a good area to gauge our numbers off of, is that 50 percentile. Obviously, if you're over here, you're already having an advantage over top of most of the population. So let's focus on these numbers here. So what am I getting to? So the first route is investing your money and investing the money that you make. Because the whole idea is, in my opinion, should be to invest as much as you can and to buy the least amount of dumb crap as possible. So for example, I recently have an Apple Watch that no longer works. Do I go out and buy $600 and something Apple Watch, which is how much they are here in Canada? I was going to, because of course it has that new heart rate system and it can save me from dying. But you know what? I'm feeling a lot healthier. I've lost some weight. I'm not too worried about my heart exploding, knock on wood. But anyways, I'm not too worried about that right now. Maybe when the winter comes, I'll buy that watch. But at this point in time, I'm going to go and invest that $600. I'm not going to go and spend it. So, this is what I'm talking about. Can you now invest 20% of what you make into the stock market? Obviously, if you are at the age of 20 and you're maybe going through college or maybe trying to figure out what you should do next, but you're making money, try investing 20% of it at least. Now, let's run the numbers and see if we can become a millionaire before we're 30 with an 8% return, which is the average return, by putting away 20% of what we make. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to fill in these numbers. So 20% of $1,600 is about $320. So I'm going to fill it in right here, $320. That $320 by the age of 30, which is right there, 14 years later, we'll say we are 30 years old here. $939. So this is what I mean by investing your money and not buying dumb crap. So from there, let's see, if we go up to a 17-year-old making an average of $2,600, that would be about $520. We can fill in $520. And now that money that we just invested over those 2 years has turned into, in theory, about $2,400 by the time we are 30 years old. Let's keep on filling this in and see if we can actually make this path to being a millionaire without actually creating our own business or anything else. So $5,000 at the age of 18, 20% of that would be about $1,000. And now all of a sudden we just magically are almost at $5,000 with about $1,850 invested. So we're doing really well at this point. 20% of $10,500 is around $2,100. So we'll fill that in there. And at this point we are at 4 years in, we are now at 20 years old. We have $4,500, and if we keep that money invested, in theory, by the time we're 30, it will be roughly around $10,000. You're really going to start seeing the numbers accelerate here. Now, of course, by the time we are, actually that'll be when we were 19, that's my fault. So I had to move these around. My math was a bit off. So at the age of 30, we're at $10,500. At the age of 19, we're at $4,500. So let's keep on going along here. At the age of 20, we're going to be able to invest about $2,650, $2,650 roughly. So we'll say $2,640. And now we're going to see that now, at the age of 30, we're at $16,700. Now, at the age of 21, which is where we're going to right now, your parents may be saying to get out of the house, and at this point, at least you'll have about $8,300 to your name, and of course, you've got you're working a job, or you may have been going to college, whatever it may be, but if you're not going to college or anything like that, let's say you just didn't have the so-called money to go to college, you couldn't get a loan, whatever it may be, and you just want to go into the working force. And let's say your parents are really good to you, like my parents, and allow you to stay at home for as long as you really wanted, and then at least you're not paying rent, which at least here in Hamilton is like $2,200 a month on average, which is crazy. And the next city over, the average rent is like $3,500 a month. Obviously, people our age can't afford that. We need to get roommates or whatever it may be. So if your parents are good and they let you stay at home, obviously pay for food or whatever else it may be. But at that point, you can keep on saving your 20%. And if this is the route that you can take, then definitely take it. So at this point, we're looking at around about $3,300 that we can invest at this point in time. And now we're looking at the age of 30 having about $24,000. We're starting to get there. This is looking fantastic. Now at the age of 22, the 50 percentile makes around $20,000. So that tells us that we can invest around $4,000 because that would be our 20%. And now we're looking at having $32,000 at the age of 30. Now this is all, again, hypothetical, but I hope that you're getting the point here. At this point, we're looking at $4,800 investing, and we can keep on filling in this list all the way down. So $29,000 at the age of 24, we can, of course, say that that would be around $6,000 that we can invest. And now we're really starting to climb up this ladder. And this is obviously a very hard ladder to really get up, but at this point, we're really starting to become very, very wealthy. And we'll say that that's the exact same thing there. And at this point, we're starting to look at now having management style positions. And of course, this is something that you would really be, of course, succeeding in, hopefully. And over the next 3 years, we would be investing $8,000 each year because that's essentially what these numbers calculate at here. And now we are still not at our, of course, goal of $1 million. We're really only at $108,000. However, I really want to point this out to you. If you were, for example, investing in a couple of more riskier stocks that may have had a larger increase, for example, Apple has had some pretty crazy upgrades recently and, of course, have really exploded over the last little while. Also, Tesla, if I invested in $1,000 in Tesla when I was in college, it would be currently worth $140,000 today. So when you start looking at that, you could go safe and make an average of 8%, or you could try and find some riskier stocks while still holding safer stocks, and hopefully you can still even that out to 8% minimum. But if you could do even better, then you're really rocking it. At the same time, I really want you to also focus on not just working a job, but also building something for yourself on the side. Because now, when you start building something for yourself on the side, it can really explode. For example, my business that I run, if I was to have a valuation on it, the valuation would currently be worth somewhere in that $300,000 range, and I'm at the age of 31 years old. Now, if you were to have the same success, which is not crazy success in my books, I've been running my business for 10 years and it's taken 10 years to get up to this point. However, if I was to not work a job like 5 years ago, my business would be easily worth, and I would say this right now, my business would be easily worth $1 million. You really have to know when it's time to leave your job if you're running a side hustle. And I waited way too long. So what I did was I waited until I had 5 years of income in my bank from my job. I also waited for my business to make double the amount of money that I was making from my job. I don't know why I waited so long, but I did. And I shouldn't have. So I hope that this is at least a little bit of a lesson to anyone watching this video, but also when it comes to investing, if you can put away 20% of your income, and let's say, for example, you made more money when you were 16. Let's say you didn't make that, what was it? At the age of 16, $1,600 what is the 50 percentile at the age of 16. Well, what happens if you worked, let's say, instead of 12 hours a month, you work 24 hours a month, which is about 6 hours a week. That's still less than most of the people were working at that age when I worked a job at a place that would hire younger people like that. They were working in the 20-hour range per week. So when that comes down to it is, you could be investing a lot more. If you were to do, let's say, $10,000 in the first 3 years, 16, 17, 18, if you were to do 10,000, you can put away 20%. That's an extra $2,000. That's a total $2,000 each year. And if you were to do that on this list, and you were to fill in $2,000 at the first couple of years, you now have, instead of $100,000, you're having $120,000. So that is a massive increase. Now, also something to think about is if you could get a 5% dividend at that age of having that $120,000, that 5% will bring you about another $6,000 of income a month, which is what some people are doing $6,000 a year, what some people are doing in a whole month. You can do that in a whole year on investments, on dividend income, which means to me that you have a little bit more freedom because that brings in around $500 a month. You have a little bit more freedom to build even more on the side hustle. But that's the main message, is to have a side hustle, to have your investments from your work, and then also have work. And then once your side hustle becomes bigger, the valuation that would then come along with it would be much higher, and then you can easily use that as equity to buy a house by getting a loan against that to get a house if you wanted to get a house, or you could just go out and rent or whatever it may be. But this is how you can become a millionaire, is by investing, having a side hustle, but also with your side hustle, a little tip is to create value. If you can create $1 million worth of value to a single person or to 1 million people, then you're already basically a step up on the game. Think about it. If you could give $1 worth of value to 1 million people, you are now essentially worth $1 million. That could be in terms of maybe a $1 subscription to 1 million people, or it could be 1 million subscribers, each of them watching about $1 worth of video a day when it comes to ads. Whatever it may be. Anyways, I hope that this video helps you. If it does, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.